You work out. You train. You post. You flex. You show off. You seek attention. But the woman you really want, she doesn't look. And when she does, it's not the way you imagine, because the body you present like a trophy means nothing to her. If it's hollow on the inside, you were taught to believe muscles equal respect. That presence is measured in inches. That physical strength is enough to make a woman like me interested, but elegance doesn't bow to volume. It leans in for posture, for a steady voice, for sober confidence, for presence that doesn't beg, for mirrors to exist. Want to know why your workouts don't impress? Because your eyes still betray insecurity. Because your strength ends at the skin. And a refined woman wants a man with strength where no one can see it. In his mind, in his silence, in what he doesn't say. You may have mastered your body, but if you crumble in front of a real woman's gaze, one that doesn't smile back, then everything you've built collapses in a single second. You spend hours sculpting your body, but you forget to sculpt presence. You believe that broad shoulders and swollen arms can replace a steady gaze and intentional silence. But they can't, because an elegant woman doesn't surrender to the man who takes up space. She moves for the one who fills it effortlessly. The gym gave you muscles, but you still haven't learned how to enter a room without needing to prove yourself. You still seek approval through tight shirts, mirror selfies, forced compliments. And what you don't realize is, women like me see it for what it is. Noise. Visual. Emotional. Energetic. You think you're displaying power, but what you're showing is neediness. Want to attract a real woman? Then stop trying to be seen. Start learning how to be noticed. The difference? Men who try to be seen overdo it. Men who are noticed simply enter, with posture, with sobriety, with that kind of presence that silences even the loudest woman in the room. You were taught how to look strong, but no one taught you how to be unshakable on the inside. You think strength is about lifting more weight, running faster, having defined abs, but abs don't hold eye contact, and big arms can't carry the silence of a woman who knows exactly what she wants. You want to prove you can protect, but you can't even protect your own energy from an indifferent glance. The woman you want isn't analyzing your muscles. She's watching how you react when she doesn't compliment you, when she looks at you without blinking, when she tests your ego, and you flinch. Want to know what does impress an elegant woman? A man who doesn't crumble when he gets no validation. A man who stays grounded when there's no applause. A man who doesn't dissolve when no one's watching, because that man understands something most don't. The kind of presence that truly captivates is the one that remains, even when no one responds. She's not looking at your triceps. She's looking at your emotional core, and if she senses that you constantly need validation, that every compliment feeds your identity, that without praise, you deflate. She pulls away because elegant women don't want to lift a man up. They want to lean on one. You can be big, strong, sculpted, but if your soul is unstable, needy, and anxious, she will feel it. And worse, she'll lose respect. She wants to see how you respond to silence, how you handle the testing stare, the intentional absence, the elegant discomfort that only great men can hold without losing center. You've trained your body, but emotionally, you're still too fragile to face the gaze of a woman who's already seen the world. You want to be desired? Be the one who doesn't need attention to exist. Be the man who, even without compliments, stands tall because he's already proven himself to himself. You think you're showing strength, but what's coming through is vanity. A need to be seen. Neediness dressed as self-confidence. And a refined woman feels that in the very first second. The way you stand, the tone of your voice, the urgency to be noticed. It all exposes that behind the muscle. There's still a boy craving approval. Elegance isn't impressed by size. It's impressed by composure, by emotional control, by the kind of strength that doesn't need to lift anything because it already carries silence with dignity. You still haven't learned that a body can be attractive, but it's the behavior that reveals the man. Want to know if you're ready for her? Watch your reaction when she doesn't compliment you, when she ignores you, when she tests you with the kind of silence that unravels the vein. If you hesitate, if you fake a smile, if you try to win her attention back like a sulking boy, then you haven't understood the game. The man she wants doesn't force presence. He is presence. You showcase your body like it's your final argument, but the body is only the beginning. What comes after? Your voice, your calm, how you handle the unpredictable is what defines whether you're a man or just a visual. You think you impress when you show abs, but the woman you want isn't looking at your abs. She's watching your self-control. She wants to know if you can handle silence, if you know how to wait without begging, if you know how to walk away without drama. Men who live through their image crumble when the image is ignored, but men who live through real presence remain steady even when no one's watching. Want to stand out among all the beautiful bodies online? Then learn how to exist when no one's clapping. Learn how to stay kind when she doesn't reply. Learn how to stay whole when she doesn't validate you. That's where real strength begins. Not in your muscles, but in the silence where only mature men remain standing. You were conditioned to believe that appearance is everything, that being in shape is enough to be desired, that your body is your currency. But women like me don't buy muscles. We read signals. We feel intention. We sense the difference between a man trying to impress and one who walks in knowing he doesn't need to prove a thing. You may have the physique of a god, but if you carry the soul of an anxious boy, you'll sound like every other man. What draws us in isn't the size of your chest. It's the calm in your silence, the elegance in a simple gesture, the total absence of desperation. Want to be desired by a real woman? Then understand this. The more you try to conquer her with your body, the more you expose that you have nothing else to offer. You think we're looking at your body, but what we're really watching is your energy when no one's clapping, your posture when she doesn't reply, your strength when she stares at you without a smile. That's when we truly see what kind of man you are. You show off your body thinking it makes you untouchable, but the truth is, muscles only impress those still figuring out what they want. Mature women aren't drawn to effort. They surrender to presence that doesn't ask for space, to the man who doesn't announce conquest, who doesn't force attraction, who simply is. You want to be noticed, but she wants to be moved. Without words, she wants to feel the weight of your silence, the impact of your posture, the power in your calm, and none of that can be built in the gym. You can train your body every day, but if you don't train your essence, you'll remain the handsome guy she forgets after a second glance. Men who impress with their looks are everywhere. Men who impress with their energy are etched into her body for years, even without ever touching her. You want that? Then start cultivating the one thing she truly craves, depth that never needs to be displayed. You walk into the room with your chest puffed out, but she sees that behind that chest, there's fear. Fear of being ignored. Fear of not being admired. Fear of not being enough if your body doesn't speak for you. And that fear, to a woman like me, doesn't awaken attraction. It creates distance. Because a truly elegant woman doesn't want a body beside her. She wants a center of gravity, a grounding force. A man so at peace with who he is, he doesn't need to compete with anyone. You're still trying to win attention with volume. But what truly commands a room is the energy of someone who isn't competing at all, just claiming the space that already belongs to him. The woman you want has been surrounded by muscle before. And you know what was always missing? Emotional. Posture. What keeps a woman like me close isn't how hard you train your body. It's how well you've trained your silence, your calm, your quiet strength that doesn't show off, but holds everything when the world starts to shake. You got used to being looked at, but you never learned how to be felt, because while you built every inch of your body, you forgot to cultivate what truly fuels desire: presence. Presence isn't trained in the mirror. It's forged in the way you listen, in the way you enter a room silently and still shift the energy, in your ability to hold a gaze without needing approval. An elegant woman doesn't want a handsome man. She wants a man who exists with quiet intensity, the one who doesn't compete, doesn't perform, doesn't beg, but carries something so rooted. She feels it, even before she looks. You keep betting on your body as your entrance, but the real entrance is the impression you leave when you exit. Want to leave a woman like me thinking about you? It's not about your abs. It's about the emotional footprint your presence leaves when the conversation ends, when the door closes, when silence takes over, and somehow you're still there. You want to win her over with your body, but the woman you desire is moved by what can't be photographed, the way you carry yourself when she doesn't give in, how you wait without pressure, how you walk away without drama, without bitterness, without ego. That's what lingers. That's what she remembers. That's what she silently shares with her friends, even if she never says it aloud. Because a man who doesn't flinch at the absence of attention proves he doesn't live for applause. He proves his worth isn't tied to his reflection. He shows that his body is strong, but his essence is unbreakable. You could be the most athletic man in the room, but if your emotional posture is weak, you'll be dismissed with a single look. She won't explain it. She'll simply disappear, and you'll blame the world, never realizing the failure was never in your body. It was in what you never built inside. You believe you'll win her, with visual impact. But elegant women don't surrender to what's obvious. They're not moved by brute force. They're moved by the man who can hold back his own impulse. The woman you want has already seen beauty. She's been desired by perfect bodies. She's heard compliments in every language. What she never forgot was the man who didn't try, the man who simply was. And that was enough. The elegance she carries demands something you won't find in a gym. It requires inner control, the ability to hold presence without noise, confidence without spectacle. You're still trying to seduce with performance, but she only responds to one thing: emotional consistency in absolute silence. If you need to show off just to be noticed, then you're still playing the same game as every other man. And her? She only plays with those who don't need to win, to be unforgettable. She doesn't want the strongest man in the room. She wants the most stable one, the one who can be ignored without losing his ground, the one who stays present without needing to be praised, the one who holds posture when no one's watching. You're training your body, but your soul still trembles when you don't get a like, still wavers when she sees your message and doesn't reply, still tries to prove itself where it should simply exist. And that's why she never stays. Because where stability is missing, masculinity is too. You might be able to lift 220 pounds, but if you can't handle the weight of a woman's silence, you're still not the man she's looking for. Want to truly attract her? Be the kind of man who doesn't change tone based on her expression, the kind who doesn't dissolve when attention doesn't come, the kind who doesn't need to be accepted, because he's already accepted himself. Her elegance demands inner strength, not outer size. You've been praised too much for your body, and that's why you think it's enough, but the body is just the invitation. It was never the argument. The woman you want doesn't just want to feel attraction, she wants to feel silent respect. She wants to know she's standing in front of someone who doesn't need to prove power, because he carries presence in his walk, strength in his gaze, boundaries in his gestures. You still think it's about being desired, but a mature woman doesn't want a desirable man. She wants a man capable of restraining his own desire. Think intensity will win her? Let me tell you, she will only be yours when you can look at her deeply and yet not move. That's not weakness. That's mastery. That's what only the truly strong can hold. The choice not to react even when you could. And that kind of strength can't be seen in a mirror. You present your body as whole, but your behavior shows up in pieces. You can't hold the gaze of a confident woman. You collapse when she doesn't react the way you hoped. You lose your center when she doesn't. Smile, doesn't praise, doesn't make it easy. And do you know what that tells us? That your physique is strong, but your core is still unstable. You learned how to sculpt the outside, but you never learned how to contain the inside. You never trained your silence. You never faced your own emptiness without distraction. That's why your body impresses, but it doesn't convince. Elegant women aren't seduced by visual impact. They lean toward posture, toward the steadiness that needs no explanation, toward the man who doesn't react because he chooses to stay. Where most would run? You want her? Then stop offering your body, offer presence, and watch what happens when a whole man simply stands in silence and remains. You think your body speaks for you, but the woman you want hears a different language. She listens to how you stay quiet. She watches your patience, the rhythm of your breath when she delays, the way you handle no. And if you crumble at the first sign of indifference, she knows. You still need your body as a shield. You still need to be seen because you haven't learned how to be felt. Want to know what truly moves a strong woman? It's not the man who asserts himself. It's the one who doesn't flinch when she challenges him, the one who stays calm, who doesn't rush because he already understands that her timing isn't a threat. It's a filter. You're not being rejected. You're being read, tested. And most fail that test because they try to win with physical presence what can only be earned with inner stability. You train to grow your body. She's watching to see if you know how to shrink your ego. You think you impress when you show results, but she's more interested in who you become when you lose control. An elegant woman isn't moved by perfection. She respects self-mastery. She admires the man who knows how to pause, who doesn't raise his voice, who doesn't shift his posture when the response is cold. While you're focused on being desired, she's measuring whether she can trust you. And trust doesn't come from your body. It comes from how you behave when your desire is denied. If you become a different man when ignored, you were never a man. You were a performance, and she doesn't connect with performances. She surrenders to what's stable, what stays, what can hold its own intensity with elegance. Want to prove you're strong? Then show restraint when you're not chosen. Show composure when you're not seen. Show greatness without needing to show off. You rely on your image. She lives by perception. You seek admiration. She seeks emotional structure. And if you still depend on your body to initiate every connection, you've already lost. Because elegant women don't fall for visual stimulation. They surrender to what remains steady when everything goes quiet. You try to seduce with exposure. She's drawn to containment, to the subtle gesture, the pause, the absence of urgency. That's why she ignores the exaggerated ones, the show-offs, the loud talkers, the close standers, the ones who impose too much. She doesn't want to be invaded. She wants to be enveloped. And only a man who controls his own intensity knows how to surround without crossing. You still think your training volume is impressive, but what truly impresses is the man who says nothing, because he knows he's already been felt. You believe physical volume is an argument, but she's learned to read a man by what he does when no one's watching. She watches if you lose your grip when you're not the center, if you try harder when she doesn't open up, if your tone changes when she doesn't give you what you want, and if you shift like that. She knows. Everything you've built is just emotional disguise wrapped in muscle. You can train more, get bigger, more defined, more praised. But if your energy still breaks at every challenge, she'll look at you, and she'll see a boy pretending to be a man. True impact doesn't come from physical presence. It comes from the discomfort you hold without needing to explain yourself. And women like me don't follow the loudest. We follow the one who endures, who holds the emptiness, who doesn't rush to fill the silence because he's already learned that silence is where the weak fall and the real ones remain. Your body might catch her eye, but it's your energy that decides if she stays. You can be remembered for what you showed, or imprinted in her memory for what you held in silence. Women like me aren't looking for aesthetic perfection. We're looking for emotional consistency. The kind of strength that never appears in stories. The kind of masculinity that doesn't perform. It reveals itself when everything goes quiet. You want to be seen? Keep posting. Keep flexing. Keep chasing the gaze that confirms your image. But if you want to be desired, then master what no one sees. Learn to enter without noise, to leave without drama, to remain when everything tells you to run. No mature woman will ever surrender to a hollow body. But all of them, every single one, recognize when a man carries true weight. And that kind of weight isn't built in the gym. It's built in the silence. You started explaining yourself, and in that moment, you lost her because elegant women aren't moved by explanations. They're drawn to posture, to silence that holds, to men who would rather be misunderstood than beg to be understood. You wanted her to know your intentions, that you didn't mean to sound weak, that you were nervous, that the message came out wrong, that what you said wasn't what you meant. But the more you explained, the more she saw what you were trying to hide. Your insecurity. A mature woman doesn't want a man who explains himself. She wants a man who stands his ground. Who knows what? Power, he said. Who owns what he did? Who understands that sometimes silence says more than any apology ever could? You don't need to be understood. You need to be real. And what is real needs no explanation.